First, let me say, you Pastor Lee, I'm grateful to be here. I talked to the family of George Floyd, and they said that they would be very moved, being that none of them are in Minneapolis, if Ms. Carr could come with me to show that we are dealing with a systemic problem. In 2014, her son was grabbed by New York City police and put in a chokehold. And he said the identical words, "I can't breathe." It took us 5 years to get that cop fired. He was never prosecuted. And part of the message that we want to help give today is that if the system had worked then, maybe Floyd would not have been killed. Right. So we've got to make sure it works this time. That's right. So we don't have the next time. They asked me when we landed, when we came in to condemn the violence. I said, yes, the violence of choking a man with your knee for 9 minutes. That's right. That's where the violence started. Whatever else happened was a reaction to that violence. And the other cases that have proceeded right here in Minneapolis that they've never dealt with. Now, none of us are for violence, but we cannot be put in a position to represent what they want to represent without standing up for justice. There is a difference, Senator, between peace and quiet. Peace is the presence of justice, and we all calm down. Quiet means just shut up and suffer. That's right. We're not going to tell people to be quiet. That's right. We're going to tell people let's fight for peace, and that means justice. So the family is demanding, and we are going to say that with y'all today, that they charge all 4 policemen. That's right. Yes. One is because how do you have one policeman with his knee on someone's neck for 9 minutes, and the other policeman there and don't stop him? Even people passing by had the humanity to say, stop. He's saying he can't breathe. And the police standing there never had the human feeling, less known the legal obligation to stop. So they need to be charged. And then we need to show all over the country. I love what Pastor Meany said, that we are going through this all over the country where we can't breathe. On Saturday in New York, we're going to go back to the site where Eric was choked. And we want to correspond that time-wise with people here and people in other cities and have a national day of We Can't Breathe. Because this is something that we've got to really stop. And we wanted to come and pay respect right at the scene first and make our demands as part of the demands y'all have made and keep coming back. The family has said that they're going to have a memorial service here, probably sometime in the end of next week. They've not released the body because they're doing whatever they do with the medical exam. And then they will go to North Carolina and to Houston. So we will be back in and out. But I wanted to start our first trip right here where it happened. And nothing could be better than to be here on the ground with the ministers that do something on the ground. I know that, you know, the big shot preachers, and y'all in the preaching world know what I'm talking about. It's one thing, it's the ones on the ground that we wanted to come and deal with. And that's why we're here. So thank you for receiving. We demand 4 police charges. We demand 4 probably. Real simple. You don't need a manifesto. Real simple, and everybody stay on those points. And anybody that comes to town, they got to sing your song. We're glad to have everybody, but this is the script. You can't go with that script, bye. Because you got to live with it. You got to keep it real simple that even the brothers and sisters in the street understand.
Right now, the nice to see you back here. Last time we were great people. So I wanted to say what Reverend Jackson just said is something that I wanted to display to you as what we did as a community, and we did something in history. Our black pastors, Bishop Powell Pastor McAfee, who's out on the ground right now on Lake Street, and all of them that's been doing the work. We got the police officers fired the first day. That was historic for them to fire on the first day, and on the national level, I'm saying it, so that don't be by the rioting and the violence, that got covered up by the fact that our leadership got them fired in the first day, and you know how the process works. You can't throw them in jail till some kind of investigation or it gets complete, and that's what they hit on. So how do we deal with that fact that we, the activists, our pastors in this community, dealt with the situation, but the part about him not being sent to jail like I would if I'd have killed somebody, how would you tell us?
I think that we've got to, first of all, we need to raise, I'm glad you said that, because I can raise that on a lot of our national shows, that it came as a result of the work that y'all did, and I can start that today. But the other thing I think that needs to be said is that if you charged him, he'd be in jail. Don't just fire him, charge him, and arrest him. If somebody grabbed somebody outside right now, put their knee on their throat and killed them, you would charge them and put them in jail. You don't need any other evidence other than the tape. The tape is the evidence. The way the criminal justice system is supposed to work is that you need probable cause to make an arrest. You don't need guilt beyond a doubt. You need probable cause. If you have a man dead, you have a tape of how he was killed, and there is no legal reason for how he was killed, that's probable cause. That's the end of that. What do they tell us when we get in trouble? Tell it to the judge. Or tell the police, tell it to the judge, which means you got to be arrested and incarcerated and you see the judge at trial. They're trying to make us convict him before there's a trial. They haven't even charged him. The charge is based on the act. There's no way they can justify that act.
Yes, ma'am. The mayor and the chief of police acted right away. I'm concerned, like Pastor Heron, that real soon they're going to experience some political pressure. What can we do to support them? Because I've never seen this before.
I think the only thing I would change about what you said is you can guarantee yourself they're going to listen to it.
Exactly.
The union and the police union, all are going to come after them. And I think you've got to put the community on notice that if you have a person that's rare and they're going to stand up for us, we got to stand up for them so that people will know that they will be backed if they stand up for us. You can't have people stand up. Every black elected official ain't going to stand up. He's here. You got to reward those that reward you. Sometimes we always complain, but we never, when people do stand up, stand with them. We got to put that word
out. I'm 15. This is like my first experience of like ever seeing something like this. I wanted to know, like, how do I like keep my fear like from just being overwhelming, from just seeing this everywhere and then seeing him getting killed by him not even doing anything, and like from just like all of the riot, and then like being in the fear of like knowing that I can just go outside and then people can assume me doing something wrong and I could be dead that day, even if I don't do anything. And it's just shocking from like just seeing that. And I watched the video probably like 10 to 11 times, and it was just like that fear of being a black man can be a death sentence, and it's just like mind blowing. And I wanted to know, like, how could black people like just, I don't know, because I know it's a lot of black people in this world that's like, from seeing that video in Minneapolis, that's like having a lot of fear from that, like from seeing police officers and knowing that they can be killed by even doing that, not even doing anything, and it's just like mind blowing and overwhelming.
Your fear is what you just did, is not be afraid to express your fear. You are part of a group called Man Up. Part of manning up is to admit your vulnerabilities. Too often we try to act like we're invincible, and we're not. And we got to man up to, some things shake us and rattle us, and should. It should make us feel a certain way when we see a video like that. So the question then becomes, you're 15, you're looking at that, you're trying to figure out the rest of your life, and trying to figure out, is there going to be a rest of my life? That's why you need to be involved and be active to make sure. The answer is what you're doing now. You got to be active. I joined the civil rights movement when I was 13, the year Dr. King was killed. And I never thought that I would get to 39 because he was killed at 39. I said, if I ever become civil rights leader, I'm never going to see 40. And I'm in my 60s now. You just got to keep fighting for your right to live. It ain't fair, but it's the circumstance we got. And that's how you need to feel. The only way you stop fear is to fight. You got to fight fear, and you got to know that the more you fight, the more you'll be able to win. If you don't fight, you're guaranteed to lose. If you fight, you may lose, but you may win. I'd rather take the odds of trying to win than to just surrender to my fears.
Reverend L.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. In your experience, this is day 3. We don't know what's going to happen tonight, although we have some great men out there. Do you recommend that the clergy, Christian, and faith community be out there tonight? Our presence would be greater than having the Minnesota National Guard out there?
I think that it'd be very good if the ministers out there. I think that it'd be good if we showed that kind of love and concern. And even though some of them are angry, and all of us are angry in different ways, that they are our children, they are our young people. Some of them are taking advantage, some of them are not. They need, many of them, to know that we care and that we're there. Now we're running from our kids, and because they're ours, and we need to act like that.
I wanted to say that if we're going to show up, should we show up in strength numbers and not just
Right.
we
So y'all should show up together. That's right.
Yeah, a lot of us show up.
No, it can't be singular because they want to know that you're there.
So, I guess I'll say I talked to the governor minutes before we came in. He is vacillating. They have a bunch of local law enforcement along with the Minnesota Highway Patrol that's already deployed and ready to be staged. He is vacillating on the National Guard. He would prefer not to do it, but he doesn't want the repeat of the carnage of yesterday. And so I implored him to invest in community, invest in our faith-based communities, our nonprofit organizations and others, and to help with the resources to create those numbers for people so that we're there. And what I mean by that, Reverend Al, is to spend money. And if you spend up the National Guard, it's a lot of money. And to do that not only for our health safety, but the problem also is the historic disinvestment around the country and in this community as well. Reverend Al, I think you know this, that we have the highest gaps in wealth, the highest gaps in education, the highest gaps in healthcare in this state and this city. And this is a very wealthy state and a very wealthy city. We have 13 Fortune 500 companies led by United Healthcare, which is number 7 on the Fortune 500. So we have the money, we have the resources, we just don't have the investment. So I wanted to, and he's going to make these calls to most of the members that are here that are leaders, but that's what I've asked him to do, is to invest in us, to be able to have the conversation. And we can be supported by some other law enforcement other than Minneapolis, but he is really vacillating and doesn't really want to call the guard.
Yes, sir.
Anthony Morris, Mother's Love, Man of God. I mean, throughout history, we have seen a lot of this stuff throughout history. 40s, 50s, and pre-historic, we was in slavery. And every time we go out and fight, they give us little bits and pieces of whatever it may be. But I'm looking at it like, we need to change the laws. We got to bring that fight into court, because they can give us the money and we'll be doing good, but this happened before. You know what I'm saying? Mama, Eric Gardner, correct? Eric Gardner, you know what I'm saying? She experienced this already. He said in the video he can't breathe. Fast forward, he on 38th in Chicago, he can't breathe. And the law's never been changed. Laws is not changed. So until we able to change the law to where they can't use excessive force or whatever, then I believe this is going to be a repeat. 10 years down the line, it might be a 14, 15-year-old doing the same thing. So how can we go forward with changing the law?
First of all, you're 1,000% right. I think the way you got to change the law is as you deal with the community programming, you've got to put the people that are in office on notice that we want. One of the things we're talking about with the family is bringing Ms. Carr, Ms. Gardner, and others to the Congress and to these state legislators to propose these laws. If Biden didn't want our vote, we want the laws.
Yes, sir.
Exactly.
You got to change the law. Otherwise, you're right. It's only a matter of time. It's going to happen again because the law's on their side. Why isn't he in jail tonight? Why isn't he in jail tonight? There is no way if that was the other way around, we wouldn't be in jail. This wouldn't even be necessary. So you're absolutely right. If we haven't changed the laws, we haven't changed anything. We just delayed the next one.
Reverend Al, Pastor McAfee is here, and he's organizing us for up on Lake Street for this, what's happening up there. They took a barbecue, he's back there, he came in late. But I just want you to let him know what we're doing, so when he do his press conference, he can tell, I told him about what we did about getting a law filed.
You're a blast.
So I think he needs to know what we're doing, so he can try to help us carrying our message.
He outed you, Mac.
Yeah.
I saw that. Real quick, we're moving in 3 modes right now. The first thing we wanted to start doing, and I talked to Sister Carmen earlier, is to start sweeping. We need to, people need to see us cleaning up our own community. We know we were not part of that, but our community is in disarray, so we need to change the visuals of that. What's interesting, Carmen, other European churches is up there doing what we already talked about doing, so we need to do that, and I already met one of them, so we can do it in concert. The second movement is secure. We've got a bunch of the brothers on the block that has now gone in between the police and the community. We know it's dangerous, however, this is what we understand. If we set them police off, we already know what it can be like. So we either gonna take the chance to secure our people, or it's gonna be on too tough. So we had some issues with that, but we got some, I'll just tell you, we got GDs there, we got conservatives, we got U's there. I called some other Lowe's and different brothers who gonna be down for what we're talking about. It was conflict, but we kind of got it worked out so people can understand, because yesterday when we was out there, our people, and when I say our people, I'm not talking about color of skin, were throwing rocks, throwing bottles, and running into the crowd of innocent people. And when Popo starts shooting, then they want to holler hands up. No, you can't do that and put our innocent people in jeopardy like that. The third move that we're making is serve. The grocery stores and stuff over there was messed all up. So some of our people is putting together non-perishable goods, and they're bringing grills over there to start cooking just like they're doing over here to help feed the people. So those are the 3 things we're doing. The last thing, which is longer, is to say, how do we deal with the cause, the condition, and the cure of what ails us? Brother, listen, I'll say to y'all again, some of the stuff y'all should know some of these things by now. We've been telling y'all forever, in 16 days, that when the Supreme Court upheld even last year, I think around in August, the use of deadly force laws that say to the police that the threshold is only a threat. The only way to change that is getting the right people in office. Right. And the tragedy is that many times when we say these things, and we've said these things, it fall on deaf ears. And so as the voting and stuff is getting ready to come up now, and brother, thank you, because it ain't nothing been said we ain't already told y'all. Yeah. The question becomes, are we going to take progressive action to do it? Absolutely. Preachers and the ministers been on lockstep forever and a day to get this thing right. And so we need to get it together. I'll say this and I'll hush, because I've heard this twice in 2 different venues. Your preachers and pastors been feeding folks since COVID-19, 2 days after it hit. We're closing in on 14,000 itself, but what happens is it becomes insulting when we come into the arena and we start hearing people castigating what we already do. Now, we got thick skin, understand that, but don't get life twisted. We ain't against each other. We rolling as much as we possibly can, and we're gonna do everything that we can. Lastly, tonight is the concern as it pertains to over there. They wanna bring in the National Guard in.
my belief is if we can immobilize at least 100 of the strong brothers to run that interference that can take direction, to understand it's gonna have to be strong. You have to be able to take some stuff, because we don't want to exacerbate the situation. We got to try to bring it down. Those are the steps and the movements that we're in.
I know questions, but I have questions. What do you want to answer? A few more?
Yeah.
I just got one statement, brother. I'm not Jay Ali. I'm from South Central LA. I flew all the way out here to be of service. I will volunteer. I came because the Reverend Sharpton was here to come to support the leadership. I support him 100%. So LA is here, and I'll be volunteering and supporting leadership. Reverend Sharpton.
Strong
I'll do
brothers.
whatever's needed.
Strong brothers.
All right, thank you.